Howdy.
You're like right in there. Howdy.
Somebody's gonna get us started.
Hi. We're here. We made it. We're good. Got a great guest today. I'm excited.
Yeah. It looks like we got a little lighter crowd in chat than normal. Hi, Adrian. We got Kithrin, Fa Q Tube. Yeah, we got some other people.
I love it every time we say that.
Got some other people watching. We'll see if he'll chime in as we go along. Thank you for joining us in the live crew. Thank you in the replay crew for watching this later. And I've completely forgotten what the program is. I'll just start. How are you doing, Kristin?
I'm good. Not much going on. Just trying to get used to the weather in northern Wisconsin. It's so fun. We always talk about the weather. So I figured I'd mention, just wait. If you don't like the weather up here, just wait a minute and it'll change. We had like 50 degrees. I didn't even have a coat a few days ago, and then it snowed yesterday. So it just can't make up its mind. But some folks might notice I'm in a different place today, no longer sitting in my dining room. I have kind of temporarily set up in one of my guest rooms, and I may do some more rearranging. Right now, I'm sort of shoved up against the beds behind the camera here. So, but a lot more quiet, not in the middle of the house. Dogs can run around down the stairs. So that's good. How about you? What's up with you?
Doing good. It got cold all of a sudden here too. We had it was in the 40s yesterday. It felt like springtime, and now it's we're gonna get it's just today. It's just one day of winter, kind of. We didn't really have much this year, but yeah. Right. Anyway, so
okay. Well, we've got Marc Slis here from Michigan. He's a vape shop owner and THR advocate. So we'll have him on a little bit. You see Logan's in the back for us. He'll be watching the chat and putting up the banners today. So I take no responsibility for that. I'm already distancing myself. But I guess we're going to start with a real quick recap of what happened this week. As far as we've got a gazillion calls to action, but we did have some new ones this week. So Logan, you want to roll us in for the legislative?
There's a little suspense there. That was good.
I was like, so, do I just stand still?
So I'm gonna share a screen here. Oh no, wait, it's this one. Thank you for putting all of this in the newsletter, Kristin. Did I save the right one? Oh, here we go. Boom. Okay. So we'll get started at the top here. We've got Wyoming. Most of these are PMTA registry bills. I think all of them are PMTA.
Well, you see a lot of them in Big Tobacco Protection Bill, Big
Tobacco Protection Act, Joe Camel Protection Act, whatever, or Vapor Product Directory. I think we've got 26 so far, or we're at least in 26 different states. There's some other stuff out there, but this is the one. This is the dance craze sweeping the country. So going to get through this kind of quickly. Wyoming SF 107 still in play. I may need to do an update in here, but there was a hearing this week. And then we've got Mississippi SB 2441. Again, the same thing, vapor registry. Iowa 3101 had a hearing this week. Probably looking to update that soon. Idaho S 1366. And then here are the urgent ones. Florida, if you live in Florida, please, please, please try to make plans to attend this hearing. I believe this may be the last opportunity folks in Florida have to get in front of a committee, voice your concerns, and oppose this bill. All the details are on our call to action. So if you're in Florida, please check this out, take action. You don't have to sign up to speak. If you feel like speaking, remember time is going to be limited. So prepare for, like 2 to 3 minutes at the most. It's usually best to just, share your story briefly, tell them why you're concerned about the bill. You're going to lose access to a lot of products, and your favorite vape shop may not be able to stay open. And so keep it quick, be polite. They like politeness. I've seen lawmakers lash out at people who come with kind of an angry, frustrated tone. That doesn't sell your point very well. So Florida. If you can get to Tallahassee, there's a hearing that needs to be attended on Thursday, February 27th at 9 a.m. Super convenient for people living in the rest of Florida. Georgia.
For a living.
Yeah, people who work for a living. Georgia, there is also a hearing. HB 1260. This is on Tuesday. Did I get these days wrong? I did get the days wrong. Tuesday is the 20th.
I might have went the wrong day, but
okay, our dates are wrong.
No, I just copy and pasted from your call to action. So yeah, if it's
no, this screwed me up because there was another state that was so the 25th is Sunday, the 26th is Monday. I may have updated this after you did this.
Thursday is the 29th. I know that.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take you all on a tour of our website, and we're going to see what I updated. So Georgia is for Monday, February 26th, 2 p.m. This is in the House Committee on Regulated Industries. I believe this popped up yesterday. So sent out an email to everybody in Georgia. If you know people in Georgia, tell your friends. There is a hearing. Let's see, you can attend this in person. And if you want to speak remotely, if you're down south, maybe you can't make it all the way up to Atlanta. No later than 11 a.m. Monday, you need to send an email to jan.brown@house.ga.gov. This is the same thing. It's a PMTA registry bill. So we need to fix this. If you can fix this, Kristin, on the newsletter.
Yeah, I'll fix it in the blog.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did.
Because Georgia came up earlier in the week, and I saved them in a Word sheet, my notes on Drive as I'm going through the week, and then I just copy and paste them into the blog post. So if it changed between when I did it, say on Monday, and then if it got fixed between those two times, I would have not even checked. So I will go in and fix that, no problem.
I'm gonna put this note back up here about Florida from Jonathan Ristine. This is the last hearing, as he said. We need 100 people. 7:30 a.m. meeting at the DoubleTree in Tallahassee. Or as the locals say, Tally. So thank you for passing that along, Jonathan. If you've got more details, send me an email to aclark@CASAA.org, and I will put this in an email to all of our folks in Florida. Hopefully you get more than 100 people. It'd be great if they had to open up an overflow room. So Georgia will fix the day on that. That was my fault. Sorry about that, folks. South Carolina, hearing scheduled for Thursday. Boy, we are all over the place on these days.
I have no idea. I just copy and pasted it from
Yeah, this is totally my fault. Okay. So
I will go back and fix all the dates.
Yeah, Thursday is the 29th. I'm going to have 29. This is
the 29th is right for sure. I thought I checked that one to make sure the 29th was.
I don't know why I am so.
Thursday the 29th. That's right.
This is all my fault. This is what I've been doing.
It's supposed to be 27th.
So it's
supposed to be Tuesday the 27th.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah, that's wrong on the call.
I'm going to fix all of this. I apologize.
Crazy. I don't even know how he's doing it because like last night I'm trying to get the blog post out and he just kept throwing stuff up in the chat. Here's another call to action. We got a hearing coming up. Here's another one. I'm like, Jesus, let me go get something to eat. It's been crazy. I don't even know how he's keeping. So I'm not surprised that you're getting your days mixed up, Alex.
It's every day. My dyslexia is on like 15 right now. So I apologize for getting numbers transposed and dates mixed up. We will get all of this fixed and get the appropriate notifications out to people.
I will do. Yeah, as soon as the show is over, I will do it.
South Carolina, Thursday, February 29th, which is actually Thursday, February 29th.
Right.
This is the spoken testimony portion of this bill happens only in subcommittees. So if you want to get your comments in, send your lawmakers an email, use our system, edit the pre-written letter with your story and get that sent in. I don't actually think there is did we get this? Okay. Yes, you can send your testimony to Tara Kelly at scsenate.gov. And this will and if you get them in on time, they will be shared with the full committee. So really important that South Carolina advocates participate in that. And last on the list, but not least, this is another Monday, February 26th. We're getting the dates right now. This is actually House Bill 1069 is having a hearing. This is scheduled for 15 minutes after adjournment. I have no idea when that typically happens. But this is Virginia. Virginia has been kind of a weird one because I was following this from the beginning, and at some point, I'm not exactly sure what I was reading now, because it looked to me as if these two companion bills had passed their respective houses, and I had put the question out. I don't know. Some states are different. If a bill and its companion pass their houses with no amendments, then in some states it just goes straight to the governor. There's no reason for them to sort of flip flop to the other house. And so lost track of this, but these bills are still alive. SB 550 was passed with an amendment, and we're not sure if HB 1069 is going to get the same amendment. But this basically it's telling the legislature that they're going to have to take this issue up next year. So it would, if what we think is going to happen happens, this won't take effect this year or like January 1st of next year, but the legislature is going to have to come back and basically readopt this legislation in order to enact it. And some of the speculation is that currently there's no funding to enforce this bill, and there's no funding for enforcement written into the law, which we're seeing in some places. And of course, Alabama went through this. I believe Oklahoma is going through this right now. If you're in Oklahoma, we have a call to action active for that. I think the hearing has sort of already happened, but Oklahoma is still in play. So anyway, this is all the stuff that I updated and apparently got a bunch of dates wrong this week. I will be sending out corrections as soon as I can. And if you're in any of those states, definitely take action, make plans to show up to these committee hearings, send your messages, make your phone calls. And considering that half the country at this point is looking at these PMTA registry bills, if you live in a state that's in America, go check our page, which is going to be I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it here. You can just go check out the big clicky map and go see what's going on in your neck of the woods. I don't know that we have. Did I put anything up? No. Alaska's got some tax stuff that they're looking at, but haven't seen any movement on that. So,
and Logan will put up the little banner that has the actual address of this. But Alex, you want to just do a quick rundown of the states that are left, because I know that we have a few other states that have they have hearings this coming up week 2, and what we just went through was just something that was new this week.
So if you go to this page, CASAA.org/get-involved/state locator, just scroll down past the map and you will see
Idaho.
All.
Wait, go back up. Let me read these so people can. So we've got Idaho, Mississippi, Oklahoma. These are all PMTA bills. Alabama, Utah, Maryland. Keep going. Kansas, Georgia, Wyoming. Then I'm going to go to the next page. And then we've got Illinois, Missouri, New Mexico's got a flavor ban. That's a little bit
and a
different.
tax.
We've got 2 for New Mexico, the vape tax. Nebraska's got a vape tax. New Hampshire's got a PMTA. We've got Colorado's got.
That would be preemption repeal.
Yep.
And then
Hawaii has a flavor ban, and I think they've got something else going too. But
yeah, Hawaii always has like half a dozen bills.
Hawaii does, yeah. Iowa's got a PMTA, and a few of these do have. Let's see. Okay, there's Nebraska does have. Nebraska's got a PMTA one too. Arizona's got a PMTA one. South Dakota, same thing. South Carolina, we just talked about. We've got Rhode Island's got a vape tax. Indiana.
I haven't heard much about Rhode Island, but that is in the state's budget bill, so that may be why I haven't heard much about it. But anyway, that one's tricky.
Yeah, a lot of those are like must pass. Indiana's got a PMTA. Got Washington PMTA. That's the state. Virginia PMTA. Florida PMTA. And Florida's a big one we were just talking about. Virginia, whoops, I'm shaking.
And these are old. I don't know. Haven't followed Fresno.
That up, so I wasn't sure. And then Michigan's, well, we'll talk about that later because I'm sure Mark will have a couple thoughts on that. Yeah. And of course, we still have the national vape tax. So
yeah, the national one is kind of low priority at the moment, as has been the case. The House is in sort of constant disarray, and in an election year. So I'm not quite sure that there's a whole lot of priority on this. We've had this up since October. We expect to see this kind of proposal come back in budget season every year. But that's that. And just to round out the last couple here, Vermont is still looking at a flavor ban. There is a PMTA registry bill in Vermont, but I haven't checked on it and haven't heard a whole lot about it. The flavor ban is what's really kind of catching eyeballs there. And the Ohio one we concluded successfully last year. So, but the Vermont flavor ban is still active, even though this was posted in April of last year. So I think that should round out legislative rundown.
Yeah, that's why we just wanted to read those off, because we can't get deep into everyone. Otherwise, we'd have a couple shows ago, we had an entire show on it. So, so we are going to bring Mark in, but first I'm going to play a little clip. So Mark, if you want to hit your, turn your sound off, I'm giving a warning in the back there. He doesn't want to see himself on camera for this, but I'm going to play a little clip from Mark's hearing in Michigan, which was in 2019, was it? I think. I'm not sure, but anyhow, it's really good video. So listen up.
2014, I noticed a new business in Houghton, downtown Houghton, and I just popped my head in to see what it was. And there was a 19-year-old young man behind the counter, and he told me that they sold electronic cigarettes. And he invited me in. 20 minutes later, I walked out a non-smoker. That was 100% due to the flavors. I've tried everything. Nothing worked. It was the flavors. In fact, I even tried an unflavored nicotine manual cigarette, which was just a nicotine-soaked sponge that you drew on. It did not work. So a 19-year-old kid with a high school education did what nobody else could do, what government couldn't do, what public health couldn't do, what the medical community couldn't do in 30 years, get me to quit smoking. It didn't cost the state or the federal government a dime. It was a simple explanation, and it worked, and a simple product. From where you sit, that it didn't cost the state anything, you should know that. A year and a half later, I bought that shop. That saved my life. In the next 4 years, I've saved about 1,000 lives. I've saved 1,000 people from smoking. They've permanently quit, and that's who I'm here to represent. And those people I haven't yet reached. Those 1,000 people, they're all from Houghton County. It has a population of roughly 36,000 people according to the U.S. Census. So the people that I've helped to quit and help to save their own lives, That's 2.7% of the total population of my county. I can't imagine anybody not seeing that as not only significant, but extraordinary. I defy anybody in my county to say that they've helped to save that many lives, including the doctors. That's a lot of people in 4 years. My current customers include nurses, doctors, officers from every single local police department, the state police post, even a chief of police, multiple business owners, firemen, first responders, teachers, elected officials, most importantly, dozens of veterans. And these people are all grandmothers, grandfathers, yes, that old, fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters. They're my friends and my neighbors. There's nowhere I can go in Houghton County and not run into a customer or a former customer who is still not smoking. It happens every day. I'm extremely proud of this.
Nope, I got it. Sorry about that. And here he is, the man of the hour.
Hi, everyone.
Good to see you again.
It's good to see you guys.
So,
So we
go ahead, Kristin.
I was going to say, so we got kind of the gist of about that, you know, that you had tried just about everything, and this 19-year-old kid basically helped you quit by introducing you to vaping, and then you bought the place, and then just the thousands of lives that you've saved since then, which is incredible. What? I'm not even sure where to start with this. I guess maybe we'll say, how's it been going? How are things going in Michigan as far as the environment for you now since that that testimony?
Well, the environment hasn't changed much, and perhaps, if anything, it's changed a little bit for the worst. Back in 2019, the GOP held the House and Senate, both, I believe. The Democrats now hold the House and Senate, or at least the Senate, and I believe the House is deadlocked at the moment. I don't know if they've run their special elections, but it's the Democrats that are mostly pushing that, especially our Democratic governor, even though this is what we're facing now is a legislative effort. But the package of bills that we're facing right now is essentially the same package that we've been facing every session since the fall of 2019. They're different, but they're trying to accomplish the exact same thing.
Right.
Get rid of us, protect smoking.
And
So
Gretchen's pretty much. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm of course I was just going to go right to the legislation.
Oh.
You know, what do you have any kind of update on how that legislation is moving? Support, opposition, or is it still just kind of we're not clear?
I don't know if things have changed since they were read in back in October or November of last year. But our perception of them has definitely changed. Initially, we were told that they had overwhelming support and that we were screwed completely. That rapidly changed to perhaps you have a chance. We need to get you down to the Capitol. We need to talk to bill authors or sponsors, I guess. They didn't actually author these bills. And we've done that. We weren't very well received, but we've heard there's less support for these bills now than there was back in the fall. And in fact, they may not go anywhere because of elections, because our governor definitely has set her sights on the White House. Their priorities have shifted a little bit. But the bills are still there. The bills are in committee, and we're still fighting them every way we can.
Have you been?
There are very few of us. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's to kind of build on that a little bit. This is something that we've heard for 10 years now. Usually what ends up happening, and I think this is not exclusive to the vapor industry, but it's like a few people who are pulling weight for everybody else, and that includes money. So I know that in other states, and Michigan is no exception. If you're a shop owner, a distributor, whatever business you have in this space, supporting these efforts is really important. Do you have people kind of, are they becoming a little bit more interested in this stuff? They want to commit some resources to the fight, or are people kind of burned out with all of this?
Well, in general, sadly, no. We haven't seen much interest. There are currently 5 of us footing the bill and doing everything. And we're all shop owners, single or 1 or 2 shops only. We're the small fry. None of the bigger players seem to be interested at all, which is really sad. But we have just heard from a rather influential think tank, which happens to be located in Michigan, the Mackinac Institute. They've expressed some interest in working with us and helping us out just recently in the last few days. Very good news. We need help.
Yeah. Is it Mackinac or Mackinac that does the kind of I don't know if they put out an annual report or every couple of years about illicit sales? Maybe I'm getting 2 different organizations mixed up, but I know that if it's who I think they are, they've put out a report on illicit cigarette sales. That's where we get the sort of over half. It's now less than half, I think, but for years it was almost 60% of the cigarettes sold in the state of New York were sold on the illicit or gray market. So I don't know if that's the same think tank.
It is that is the Mackinac Institute. Mackinac. It's spelled Mackinac, but it's Mackinac.
Oh, okay. That's what I get.
Me Midwesterners with our native names that nobody can pronounce.
Exactly.
Over here in Wisconsin, so I know. Is there an association in Michigan at all, or are you 5?
A very small, loose one. 5 of us.
Okay. That's okay.
That's
so you don't
left.
have like
we were a lot larger of an well, not that much larger, but we were a larger organization in 2019, and I believe most, perhaps all of our former members have been forced out of business.
Is that mainly FDA regulations or
regulatory pressure? I mean, it's the same story for everybody. The misinformation in the public messaging definitely impacting our sales, things like that. But also the regulatory pressures. We lost all of our liquid manufacturers that were members. None of them are producing anymore.
So there's no companies in Michigan making liquids anymore?
I believe there's at least one, and they were at least rather large, a somewhat national brand, but they have other interests, like we've seen for the last how many years. People leaving the vapor space for the hemp space, the cannabis space.
Yeah.
Anything other than something that can bankrupt you, land you in jail, have you labeled a baby killer. People get tired of it. We've lost them.
Yeah. So, I mean, given I don't want to put anybody on the spot or expose anybody to any kind of legal or regulatory issues, but as we sort of opened the show with running down all of these PMTA registry bills, it's kind of first of all, it's disappointing to hear how many people have gone out of business in Michigan and of course around the country. But so even before a state adopts one of these vapor directory bills, businesses from vape shops on up to liquid manufacturers are feeling the pressure. What would something like that do to what's left in Michigan?
A registry bill,
Yeah.
it render us extinct.
Because you probably get most of your stuff from out of state now, right?
We have, I still carry 2 Michigan liquid manufacturers, but they're manufacturing only for me. I believe that's it.
Wow.
Because I've carried them for so long, and they're the mainstay of my liquid sales. They're both outstanding juice makers, and sadly, only my customers are benefiting from them now.
Yeah.
And only because I begged and begged and begged. I didn't want to lose them. They also, both of these manufacturers make all of my top 10 favorites personally. So
okay.
I had a personal interest in getting them to make juice just for me. Still.
So do you just carry those 2 lines, or do you have other?
No, I carry other ones. Yeah, I carry a bunch of national brands, but those 2, they're outstanding. They're so good, and my customers would kill me if they went away.
I know, but it's tough.
It often takes me quite a while to get restocked because I'm essentially their only customer. And my customers get so angry when they're out. They're extremely popular. And it's sad to see folks like that go. They're no longer really fighting with this either. They've got other things going on in their lives. They've had to go get real jobs, whatever. It's been tough here.
It's got to be hard with the manufacturers because unlike the vape shops, they can't sort of expand into the Delta. Well, I mean, some have. I know that one of my favorite e-liquid companies was out of Texas, and they first stopped sending to us in Wisconsin because they implemented some kind of tax or something in a registration thing that was actually relatively simple compared to what these PMTA things. And now so they just said, we can't send to those states that do that because we just can't keep up with all these different separate regulations that everybody's requiring at different states. So we're only going to ship to states that don't have anything that we have to worry about with taxes and stuff. And then later on, I come to find out they don't even make nicotine e-liquids anymore. They only make Delta stuff. So even the companies are kind of switching to that. But for vape shops, it's harder because how do you keep stuff in? Because I have that problem all the time. I'll go to my local vape shop to pick up I'm not one of those who switch all the time. So I get one flavor, I'm on it. And kind of like your customers probably when you're out and they don't have it. And, I'll go in and like, oh, we don't have any, or we're not getting enough big orders. Because a lot of people they just go to the gas station and pick up disposables. And, so those of us who use open systems and e-liquids, it's just getting harder and harder. And is that what you're seeing?
It is. And you mentioned another big part of it, disposables. There's a lot of things that a cessation method or product in this case has to be, a lot of things that it has to meet. And one of those is convenience. And hard to beat the convenience of a disposable. I guess you can't, can you? There's really nothing more convenient than that. They're sold everywhere. They don't require any knowledge, any support. You go in, you buy it. It's just like a pack of cigarettes. You buy it and you use it. So that's hurt vape shops. That's hurt open systems. And along with the regulatory pressures that are killing us in every way, that reduces availability for me as a vape shop owner to buy things. You see products getting discontinued. I mean, we don't know if it's due to regulatory pressure, but it appears that especially in the last few years, we've seen products getting prematurely removed from the market by the manufacturer as well. So really tough, it's tough to make business decisions. It's tough to order. It's tough to keep things in stock. It appears to be a lot tougher than it was 5 years ago.
How easily, or I don't know, I've never worked in a vape shop. I've only shopped at a few of them, but when you are looking at products to carry, are you able to have conversations with distributors or manufacturers and ask, like, what's your status with the PMTA application? Are they forthcoming with what they're doing with FDA? What's your again, trying not to, I don't want to bait you into disclosing anything you don't want to, but do you have those conversations with manufacturers and distros, and are they able to provide that information for you?
Not so much the distros, but certainly there have been a few manufacturers that I've talked to directly, asked them how their PMTA stuff has been going. I belong to several groups as a vape shop owner, so I'm kind of in the loop with that. I'm a member of the AVM, even though I'm not a manufacturer, in part to get that information and to find out what's going on, both for myself and if there's anything that I need to bring to my customers' attention.
So that's maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds to me like AVM is providing its members with, are they providing their members with a list of companies going through PMTA that have sort of provisional authorizations, or is that more? Are they more alerting?
It's just kind of an ongoing conversation, I guess. There's not that I've seen anyway. I've not seen lists or anything like that. It's just, I guess I never really thought about it. I've just been soaking it up, everything I hear, in the chat or whatever. And I haven't been terribly concerned unless I hear a particular manufacturer that's on the shelves behind me. I just try and keep an overall decent picture overall of what's going on. So yeah, nothing terribly specific except for, a few manufacturers that I happen to know personally.
Yeah. And I guess generally, one of the things I have in the back of my head, and I think one of the arguments that I don't know that I've necessarily heard this, but this is probably something that Greg Conley has said. I'm not going to put words in his mouth either. I can't. But in when I've asked FDA directly on panels, or I think when they've responded to people, I know that Brian King did a Q&A at GTNF last year, and he's actually going to be around for a Q&A at E6 Summit this year. I think one of the things that, when asked sort of how does FDA determine who they're going to go after, for selling a product that isn't authorized or have a provisional authorization, the answer seems to be, that product has to reach some sort of a threshold or meet or exceed a threshold of youth use. Like, if a bunch of kids start showing up at schools with a particular product, FDA is going to get a lot of, angry letters from parents and teachers, and then they'll take action. Have you heard anything like that from other, shop owners, distros, manufacturers? Does that sound consistent? Does it sound like FDA is being more judicious with their enforcement discretion than maybe we think?
Well, I'm not sure. I personally don't see a whole lot of rhyme and reason other than some sort of, as you mentioned, this particular product is being used by X number of youth. I don't know how they're getting that other than annually. Although I don't know if specific products are mentioned in the National Youth Tobacco Survey or the Behavioral Risk Survey. I don't know. But I haven't been able to see any rhyme or reason. both for the shops they've been going after and why, or the products. I assume they're using a Ouija board or something. Honestly, I don't know. You know, I don't know why they show up at one shop and not another. Everything they do seems, to me anyway, to be a little bit strange. And I don't know if I should say this, but I also would have thought they'd been a lot tougher on us.
No, I think that's actually
in terms of going out and finding people and whatnot. Once these products have been MDO'd, I'm surprised they haven't come after us for a lot more of our products that they've already denied.
Yeah, I think that's sort of, I think, the point I was hoping to hear, because when we're talking about these state vapor directory bills, you know, I think it's Oklahoma is an example of, you know, they already have one in place, but they're amending it because I guess the ABLE Commission, I think it's the ABLE Commission, is responsible for doing enforcement, but they haven't really done much. And so they want to take it away from that commission and give it to the Attorney General. And, you know, our argument is, you know, having this at the federal level, we're, you know, in theory, in hopes, we have a, you know, a science-based, data-driven agency making decisions. The FDA does have enforcement discretion, which the antis absolutely hate, and FDA can determine, you know, how hard and how many people they're going to go after. But an attorney general who does not have a background in protecting public health is just going to go after people who are, you know, breaking the law. And so I think I understand, and I saw the comment fly by about, you know, manpower. Yes, we've known for years that FDA was never going to have enough human resources to do the enforcement, that, you know, in a way that I think a lot of us were afraid of, but eventually that this would come down to some sort of agreement or you know, contracting with states to pick up the slack where the feds couldn't do the enforcement. But, you know, in the same breath, FDA is making decisions based on which products are the biggest offenders. You know, if we have products out there that are blatantly ripping off IP that definitely appeals to young people, then yes, we don't want those companies doing business. That's not what these products are all about. But then again, you know, who's going to be the arbiter of what's child appealing and so on? If you get it, you know, an AG with an axe to grind, they may think that anything with a flavor other than tobacco is marketed to kids.
Which many of them do,
and they do, and that's what we. But FDA knows better, and so I'm taking a really long time to get there. I think, you know, the big argument here is we would rather have FDA exercising enforcement discretion than the state's attorneys generals or you know, some sort of agency at the state level that's tasked with just running down a list and seeing who's breaking the law and then sending nasty grams or showing up and fining people.
Yeah, I certainly don't believe that these things should be the purview of an attorney general. They don't have the qualifications for this. This is about public health. This is not just about crime. And, you know, to an attorney general, you know, that attorney generals are hammers and everything looks like a nail.
I was going to make that exact same analogy.
All they care about, right?
I was like waiting to say that.
Big mistake there. I'll tell you, I'm actually a pretty strong proponent of states' rights. Mm-hmm. And so my philosophy should sort of be this should be an issue for each individual state. I'm not so sure of that. I have to rethink all of that because a patchwork is not necessary, in my view anyway. A patchwork, 50-state patchwork, is not necessarily appropriate for the protection of public health.
Right.
Especially when you're talking about something that needs a relatively new product that needs some qualifications in order to properly regulate it. And the lower down the governmental chain you go, the less qualification you're going to have. You know,
Yeah.
to go to the extreme, when you have a community that's regulating a cessation product, and they don't know anything, and that's probably why Bloomberg hits the community so hard. Very
And they're
easy to
misinformed.
bamboozle.
It's also
Very.
open to, yeah, it's also open to corruption because, I mean, I'm just following this case in Illinois right now where this mayor has just been taking trips to Vegas and buying expensive cars and doing all this stuff on a budget on the taxpayers' dime. And she's also been, well, if you didn't vote for me, if you didn't support my campaign, I'm not going to renew your license. Well, imagine if somebody does that and uses the PMTA law to pick favorites. You know, I mean, that
kind of like the FDA tobacco is doing with big tobacco. Yeah, that corruption appears to be at all levels.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. But I'm just saying it's just another reason, because I too, I mean, I'm relatively libertarian. I think states' rights are usually generally a good thing. But when, like you said, if you have this piecemeal thing where it just makes it, I'm also pro-business in a lot of ways because I think it provides jobs and stuff. And so that's just going to make it so hard for businesses. Just think of other businesses. I mean, and some other businesses do have to do stuff like that. I'm sure, like, you know, insurance companies have to do that. I'm sure, like, a lot of communications things have to do certain things, but they have FCC stuff where most states just sort of kind of fall back on what the national thing is in order to make it easier for businesses. But if every state has its own different rule and every state has its own different fees, you know, $5,000 for just to be able to submit your stuff, and then another $1,500 a year. And then one of the states, I don't remember which one, Alex, or if it's all of them, if it's doing it, but I noticed that it said they had to file monthly reports. Monthly reports. Could you imagine in 50 states, monthly reports for everything you sent to I mean, it's crazy. And do you have anything like that you have to deal with right now?
Yeah, for some reason, I'm struggling to remember everything that's in the 7 or 8 bills we have in the state.
Right.
But there were a bunch of small details that weren't anything that we could meet as an industry, didn't make sense. I don't know if it's in this package of bills or it was in the last package of bills, but two of the provisions that we were facing were that vapor products, when they're transported into the state across state lines, they would have to immediately go to the nearest state police post to be ripped open and inspected. To my knowledge, there is no other product, anything that has to be done for, including cigarettes.
Yeah, there you go.
And then when they leave the state police post, they can only be transported on pre-approved roads through pre-approved routes.
Wild.
Do they even take that kind of caution with, like, convicts when they're changing jails? I mean, that's crazy.
Nothing. There's nothing that has to go through those hoops.
Wow.
Absolutely nothing else in this state. Not even nuclear waste.
That was my next. Like, how does Michigan handle transporting toxic waste?
Right.
That's no big deal. You just need a licensed transporter and go.
So what do you think? What is it going to take? I mean, you are, like, hanging on there, teeth and nails, and you know, I know you don't want to leave your customers high and dry. And I'm wondering, have you seen? I have kind of a couple different questions, I guess. I come at this from a consumer standpoint because I'm afraid of losing our local vape shop and stuff because so many people won't ship to Wisconsin anymore. But what I guess first question is, do you feel like you've been losing customers at all to the disposables because they are so easy. And I guess the second part of my question was, what do you think will be the end for you? What do you think would be the thing that you're like, I give up, I can't do this anymore?
Well, the first question, I think, whether they know it or not, probably every vape shop in the country is losing something to disposables.
Right.
They're everywhere. Every gas station, grocery store, convenience store, wherever else.
Do you
so I think we're
sell them?
all.
Just a quick side thing.
Pardon me?
Do you sell them?
I have for several years. I've carried a very limited number because they are definitely the most versatile vapor product out there. They can.
And you have
they
to compete.
have so many different uses that I have to carry them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you at all. I think a lot of people won't. They refuse to. So I was just curious if you did.
But I don't have any regular disposable customers. All of my regular customers are using open systems, and probably a fair number, maybe 2 or 3 out of 10 people that come in for disposables, I manage to convert them to open systems.
I wish more people would.
How does that work? How do people come from the most convenient vapor product ever to something that's a little bit more complex? How does that
well,
work?
if they let me chat for a while, I explain that they're the least reliable, most expensive, most limited way to vape in terms of flavors and nicotine levels and all of that. I just try and expose them to the benefits of an open system, and then try and convert them to like a small pod system.
Do you have a lot of people that sort of have their own complaints or concerns about being stuck at like a very high nicotine content? Do they come in looking to do their own step down? Or is that something they learn?
So every once in a while, somebody recognizes that they're getting, more nicotine than they need or want, or even more nicotine than is palatable. So it's becoming a less effective cessation tool for them. There's a few people who recognize that, but typically that's also part of what I try and explain to them, that they're limited to essentially 50 milligrams, the highest commercially available nicotine concentration. And I explain what too much nicotine feels like. And all the time I see light bulbs go on and go, oh, that's why I keep getting nauseous or lightheaded. That's why I fell down the other day when I was chain vaping on my disposable. That's also a very effective argument, getting them to convert to open systems.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I don't know that I don't know that I need to point this out, but these are this is what FDA is authorizing. They are taking the closed system, 1, maybe 2 types of levels of nicotine strength, and that's it. When people do figure out on their own that they want something with a little bit more variability that they can control. And it's kind of bizarre. I always feel like, like when I think I see something that, the federal people who are in office, people who make 6 figures a year aren't seeing or aren't figuring out, I always think like I've got to be missing something. But it's very bizarre to me that the agency that has essentially been tasked by Congress to put a stranglehold on the tobacco industry is now authorizing products that are, in some cases, arguably keeping people coming back for those products. And they're not doing enforcement as well as I know that the antis would like, but they're doing enforcement. They're sending manufacturers and shops nasty grams for selling products that haven't been authorized. So whatever you want to make of that, the enforcement is it's pressuring manufacturers out of the industry. It's shutting down vape shops. It's taking away all of the access for people. And so in a lot of places, people are just stuck with this crap that they don't actually want. There are plenty of people out there who want to step down nicotine and move away. And it's something that a lot of us, I think, figure out either in the first little while of using an e-cigarette, or for me, it took years before my body was like, yeah, I don't really want this much nicotine anymore. And I have had the privilege of being able to step down my nicotine concentration while I was vaping and now using nicotine pouches. But it just seems, it's insane to me that the regulator is actually signing off on this behavior by tobacco companies to keep people coming back for a high nicotine product that they don't necessarily want. And I just want to make sure I'm perfectly clear about this. The solution is not states stepping in and saying, well, you can only sell 3% nicotine content. That's not how this works. There are tons of people out there, maybe who smoke 2 packs a day like me, who would really benefit from having 5%, 6% nicotine in a disposable or pod-based system. So I'm not interested in anybody legislating, taking away high nicotine content stuff, but to only have that seems like a really big problem, and it doesn't seem consistent with anything FDA is doing to protect public health.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about people who are constantly harping about the mythical dangers of nicotine, and then trying to limit people to the highest concentrations only. Yeah. It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. But that aside, in simple terms, it's just another way to keep people smoking, or keep people, in this case, if the only thing that's available is big tobacco vapor products, keep people handing their money over to big tobacco. That's what this does. Yeah. It's not about cessation at all. If you can't step down, your chances of quitting are dropping drastically if you don't have the ability to wean yourself off the nicotine. And we know, I think most people now know that nicotine, when uncoupled from smoking, nicotine and vaping or any of the other NTRs or THR products, it's less dependence forming than smoking. But still, they seem to be doing their level best to keep that dependence as high as possible.
So I couldn't even imagine trying to do something that high of a nicotine. I do 3%, and I started out at 12, and I've used 0 a few times, but I always kind of went back to 3.
You're 3 milligram?
I think the 3 milligram, yeah. And I think with disposables, I went to a local vape shop the other day, and he showed me these 2 disposables, and they looked like little mods. And I said, you throw that entire thing out? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, how much does it cost? He's like, $30. I'm like, so battery and all, you throw that entire thing out. And I mean, I'm picturing that, disposals being those little cigalikes like we had back in the day, and I look at that. He's like, well, I take the battery out, and then I melt the plastic and use it in my 3D printer. And I'm like, well, not everybody has a 3D printer.
Yeah,
and
there's one person doing that.
Yeah, and
that's another argument that I use to convert people is,
exactly,
you're throwing away and purchasing a brand new device every time.
I mean, it was like as big as my e-leaf, and I was just like, why are you doing, and I understand the convenience and everything. And so I think that convenience and having stuff in where the cigarettes are sold are important. I'm not some bleeding heart environmentalist, but I do care about the environment, and that's one factor. But just the waste. I have a huge bag of batteries sitting in a drawer in my kitchen that don't work anymore because I have no place to recycle them. So I encourage the guy, I'm like, please do recycle. It's a new shop that just opened up, and I said, please do recycle.
You're in Wisconsin. You actually have a place. You're in Wisconsin. The same company that I use is in Illinois and Wisconsin as well. I don't know how close one will be, but look up
Yeah, I'm an
for
hour
your
from the
closest.
closest big town.
Well,
But he has-
I'm in the middle.
he-
I'm in the middle of nowhere, and they've got a store
Me
here.
too.
It's called Remy Battery,
Yeah,
REMY.
he said they have a shop in a city about an hour away from us, and he does collect batteries there. And I said, well, please start collecting them here too, because we here could also use a place to put them. But yeah, the whole thing with the disposables was crazy. But I wanted to just kind of ask you last thing, because we're finishing up now. Just if you, I know you didn't want to watch your thing with your testimony in for, I forget what year that was. What year was that? Do you remember? Was that like 2019?
Yeah, it was October of 2019. September of 2019.
And I was curious, if you, after everything that's happened since then, just in as little words as you can think of, what would you like to say if you had an opportunity to get in front of these people again? What would you think is the most important message that you would hope that also vapers would show up? Because we've had a lot of hearings and stuff, and we need to get vapers to show up. But what would you think is the most important message would be for we as consumers to convey to our
I thought you were talking lawmakers. I was thinking what would I say if I was in front of the lawmakers who
yeah, what would you say in front of lawmakers?
What I would want to be able to say would be,
no, what would you say to lawmakers? No, I want you to know, I want you to say, what would you tell consumers who are going and testifying would be the most effective things for the consumers to say to their lawmakers? So yeah, I was saying, what would you say to your lawmakers? What should we say to our law? What do you think is most important?
For consumers, is your personal story. Nothing's more powerful. When I started doing this in 2019, I knew nothing of politics. I had never talked to a lawmaker personally. And so I asked a lot of questions, both of the lawmakers and their staffers, about politics and the system, and just trying to figure out this new pond I was swimming in. And all of them said the same thing. I mean, I literally got the same answer from every single person in the Capitol I asked. What can we do to change people's minds? What's the most powerful message, or what moves you or motivates you or engages you? And all staffers and all lawmakers said the same thing: your personal story.
And that's, most people have one, so that should be pretty easy, right? You don't have to go up there and rant and know about the law.
Our quitting stories are very significant. I mean, if you're a decades-long smoker, this is a matter of life and death. So your personal story is a matter of life and death. I can't imagine, outside of votes and money, what's gonna have more of an impact on anybody.
Right.
Life and death. Tell them your personal stories. How long you smoked, how long you tried to quit, what you used to try and quit, how you finally quit with vaping, and the importance of flavors and variability. One of the things I don't think any lawmakers understand when they're talking about regulating or banning or restricting vapor products, I don't think they have any idea that everybody is unique, with unique smoking habits, unique lifestyles, jobs, environments, and everybody needs a different solution, a unique solution, what's best for them. So I think it's also important to add a little bit of detail when you're telling your personal story, because we also need them to understand that we're all different, and we need this wide range of products that were essentially developed by the vaping community. They determine what's out there on the market with their wallets. Perhaps the most effective way of perfecting any sort of product like this, but definitely why are vapor products the most effective? Because the people who need to use them and want to use them determined we need 10 million different flavors. We need nicotine levels from 0 to 50. We need power levels from 8 watts to 150 watts.
Tanks.
All of these things exist because we, the vaping consumers, the people who used to smoke, determine this with our wallets over 20 years. What exists today is the most effective because of how it was developed. It was developed by all of us being able to decide what we need in a free market.
Yep.
Had this gone any other route, big business, tobacco control, government, public health, it wouldn't be anywhere near as effective as it is today, because we were able to determine and decide exactly what we want. And there's nothing more effective than that.
We've seen what Big Pharma came up with, inhalers and gums and lozenges, but yeah.
A combined 93% failure rate. That's what you get if you cut out the actual consumers, the actual people who need this.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, and that's Marc, what they're trying to do with vaping.
Yep. Well, they're trying to homogenize it. Exactly. Well, we've reached the end of our hour. We don't want to, I know you want to unlock your door and get those important customers in there again. Hang out in the back a little bit, because your recording is going to record and it'll tell you when you can go. So we're going to just take you out now. And thank you so much for giving us your time today. Locking your door for us. We really, really appreciate it, and all the insight you gave. And really best of luck to you. I hope you can hang in there for as long as possible, and your customers keep supporting you. I really do.
We're trying.
Alex, did you want?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
And we love having the chart too, in the chat too. So we'll see you in the next show in the chat.
I'll be there.
Thanks.
Nice.
So real quick before we go, I did want to mention a couple things to look out for next week. Maryland has a couple of these vapor product directory bills, PMTA registry, HB 1197 and SB 987. Those both have hearings coming up next month on the 6th and the 7th. It's March. So I'm getting better about getting May and March in the same correct order. I didn't do it there, but we're getting there. So that's coming up next week. If you're in Maryland, keep an eye out. That should do it. Special thanks to Marc for coming on tonight and shutting down his shop for an hour to come and talk to us. Am I doing the outro spiel?
Yeah, yes. Let me start. I'll start pulling up the banners for you so you can start. So first of all, we're gonna tell people to join, right?
Join CASAA. Go to CASAA.org, and I don't even think you have to click on a special link. It should be right there on the page. Oh well, there's the donate. Okay, so and become a member is one of the first things you see when you get on there. It's totally free. Right. We do appreciate donations. We did have a really great assist from Grim Green, Nick Green. I guess it was about a month ago. I went on his live stream, and we had a noticeable bump in recurring donations. So those small recurring donations help out a lot. Helps us pay for the system we use to connect you with your lawmakers. It keeps the lights on. It keeps me here following all of these bills and hopefully not transposing dates and other stuff, which I will be doing, picking right back up tomorrow. And then, we got the donate. Please donate, even if you just want to give a one-time donation. It's all very, very helpful. You can pretty much expect that with our position on some of these bills, we're not going to get some of the support that we've been getting over the years. So whatever we can make up with small recurring donations, that would be fantastic. Also, we have the CASAA store. So we've got t-shirts, we've got other things, but mainly the t-shirts. They look great. You'll look great in them. Advocate in style. Check out our store while you're on the website, signing up to become a member and dropping us $5 or something. And then if you're not following us on all the social medias, we are on the X, Facebook and Instagrams. So find us at CASAA Media. What else? Oh, the testimonials. You haven't even brought up the banner
I'm
yet.
trying to help Logan here because he's Logan's not flipping them. Come on, Logan.
The testimonials project is ongoing, and as Marc just said, your personal stories actually carry a lot of weight, and so sharing them on our collection is very helpful. There's another one for Europe. There's a link for that if you're European or in the rest of the world. You can find that link on our testimonials website and share your story on that website. If you're in the United States and any of our territories, please contribute to the testimonials project. I think we're pushing 14,000 now. I think we're over halfway. I don't know. I don't want to oversell it, but there's that. And once again, if you live in a state in the United States, join your Facebook state page. This is where we get messages from admins to tell us about bills that might pop up, local ordinances that are catching on fire. We can't track things at the local level very effectively because that requires tens of thousands of dollars and a whole team of people. So any intel we can get from people on the ground in your town is very helpful. It's also a place where you can come and meet other people and talk about stuff that's going on in your state. Sharing information and making new friends through all of this quitting smoking is great stuff. So join your state page. That's on Facebook.
And I was just going to do the last one. Nope, you did. We did that already. But there's the banner.
We did the social medias.
And then the last one. You want to do the last one, Logan? I thought I was trying to put them up, and then they were disappearing. So I thought we were both trying to put them up at the same time. So I stopped. Last one. Don't forget that you are CASAA. It's not just Alex doing all these call to actions, or me doing the social media, or Logan doing the podcast and the board. All of us together. None of this works without you. We need you, the members and the people watching this, the vapers, the people who use other THR products to be the boots on the ground. Because if nobody goes out and does anything, what's the point of us getting all these things out and this information to you? So just don't forget that you are also CASAA, not just us. And I think that's it. So
do it.
We've got a show in 2 more weeks, which is what is that? That's the 9th. And that's going to be you and Logan, because I have a family thing. March 9th,
and I'll tell everybody our special guest. It's firming up right now, but Bengt Viberg is going to join us. For those of you who don't know Bengt, he is the inventor of sting-free snus, and so we're gonna talk snus and nicotine pouches and probably a little Swedish miracle or the Swedish experience. That's what it is. It's the Helena miracle. Swedish experience from a guy from Sweden, and so that should be a good show. So join us on the 9th for that.
Yeah, you don't need me there for that one. I don't do the snooze thing. So it's a good thing it's you and Logan. All right. Well, thanks to all of our replay crew when you watch this later. And thank you to Logan, who was in the back running things today. And we will see you in 2 weeks yet. And I need to pull up the outro. But all right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.